Welcome to Two Online by Boys Club.
Hot internet news served fresh. I'm Natasha Hoskins.
I'm Deana Burke.
And this is Boys Club.
Wait, is it just Boys Club?
It's just Boys Club.
The Boys Club podcast?
No. Just Boys Club. Hi.
She was so great. We had such a great guest on today.
So welcome to Two Online. This is a podcast where Deana and I explain what's happening on the internet, and we bring on other people who are too online to help us learn about it. Mm-hmm. So today
we had to call him back up.
We needed assistance.
As two white girl podcast hosts, we simply could not cover the Drake and Kendrick story.
I even felt when we started talking, and I was like, I asked her to explain what was happening with the diss tracks. I was like, I don't know. I don't even know that I should say diss. I was like, I feel exposed.
Well, we had a very gracious guest, Melanie McClain, who came on to explain to us what was going on. She's a music industry pro, so she was the perfect fit for this conversation. And she's fully immersed in the drama. So the Kendrick Lamar and Drake in particular drama between these two individuals. And yeah, she breaks it down for us. And now I know. And now I understand the nuance. Now I understand why certain people are siding with Kendrick, why certain people are siding with Drake, and what the internet's take has been on all of it. So I feel fully up to speed.
Fully briefed. Give it a listen. Share with your friends who are wondering what's going on right now. Yeah. Okay.
That's it. On today's podcast, we have Melanie McClain. You sent me an incredible bio that I kind of just want to read most of because it's amazing, all the work that you've done. Melanie is a New York-based music executive and tech community builder with 15 years of experience and a focus on trends, world building, and putting culture on chain. She's also the founder of the international tastemaker community and agency Blurred Lines. Melanie has worked on campaigns and partnerships for Taylor Swift, Megan Thee Stallion, Rosalia, YSL Beauty, New Jeans, Ronaldinho, Lizzo, Tyla, G-Eazy, Culture Met, like so many here. The list goes on and on. Member of the Recording Academy, junior board of the Music Business Association, and was named a Billboard magazine change agent. No better person.
No better.
Come explain what's happening on this corner of the internet than Melanie. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, that's like so embarrassing. Yeah, this is like really, really great. Yes. Music nerd and, Web3 girly checking in. So excited about this.
Hey, love it.
We're so happy to have you. You were at the Met Gala on Friday looking insane. You look incredible. Amazing.
I had to come correct.
Like, wow.
I had to. I mean, like,
you
gave us a style guide. When you give us a style guide, there's a standard.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It really means a lot when people come correct. Okay, so there's a lot happening on the internet right now. There is a whole world that we needed someone to come on and explain to us. So tell us what is happening with these diss tracks. We are lost and need assistance.
I mean, first of all, like every single person on the internet is a human like rap genius, as well as pulling up news articles from 9 years ago. So I think it's brought a lot of new energy right now. Basically, Future Metro Boomin put out an album a few weeks ago. Surprise appearance by Kendrick, who graced us with his appearance. He doesn't do a lot of songs like features, and just basically the top three GOATs, J. Cole and Drake. And just kind of started a forest fire. And J. Cole backed out. I think he was like, I don't want this smoke a few weeks ago after you dropped this diss track. And, Kung Fu Kenny and Aubrey, they've just been going back and forth with like a lot of really, really great hip hop, diss tracks that has brought like an energy to hip hop that I think a lot of hip hop fans like me, I've been in the industry 15 years. We miss this energy. A lot of dirt, but also we got some bops. So yeah, really, really fun. Few days, few weeks, whatever way you perceive it. Yeah.
Okay. So it seems like this weekend though, in particular, things really reached a fever pitch where Kendrick, I think, was dropping diss tracks like each day. Am I right?
It was like, yeah, I mean, like literally I was at like the Met Gala and people were like, hey, like, did you hear the new diss track? And I'm like, oh, who dropped it? Like, no, Drake and Kendrick. And that was the thing at 11 o'clock or so, like, you get a diss track, like literally the entire weekend, like Friday, Saturday, like the last few days, we've had like a new diss track. I mean, like Drake literally right now it's Monday. Drake dropped one, 12 hours ago, like last night, kind of bowing out. So it's been a lot. I love it.
Okay. So basically my understanding of it before this conversation was that J. Cole, Drake, and Kendrick were in a feud, were in a battle, and that all the memes that I were seeing was that J. Cole was, as you're saying, stepping back, sort of like the Bart Simpson meme where he just is going back into the foliage. He's just not going to have it. And then it was the two of them going back and forth. And that there's been a lot of tea that's been spilled in these diss tracks, hit for hit, that there's something that's being exposed in each diss track. Is that an eye for an eye? Does that feel accurate to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the interesting thing about it is, especially with Kendrick's side, he's really talking about like loyalty and Drake's circle. And it's not just a simple, I'm a better rapper than you. It's like, yeah, there's people in your crew. It's giving information about you. It's saying, you know, you slept with Lil Wayne's girl when he was in prison. Like all this type of tea that goes beyond the I'm the best rapper alive. And I appreciate that a lot of times the conversation was about, yeah, Drake is number one in the charts and the Drake stimulus package if you collaborate with Drake, but it wasn't a conversation about these songs getting on charts. I think was really cool. A lot of these songs premiered like Instagram stories or YouTube, which kind of made it a cool DIY vibe before like they went to DSPs and streaming services. But yeah, a lot of tea and like some are, I don't know if we'll go to the courts, but I don't know if this is real or not. And some are just kind of like, I stole your girl. Or one of my favorites was when basically Kendrick Lamar was like saying, when you need a club hit, you go to Future. If you need to step up your lingo, you work with Lil Baby. A lot of conversations about identity and colorism and Drake and his blackness, and brought up a lot of conversations in the music community about who has the right to speak about these, who has the nuance to talk about these topics. So there's some music business like class is definitely analyzing this right now. It's really, really exciting. A lot of layers.
Wow.
I have the lens of like just really seeing this come alive through the memes and through the discourse on Twitter and elsewhere. And at least from the people that I follow, definitely Kendrick and Drake are the main characters. Everyone seems to be siding with Kendrick. Drake is persona non grata at this point, at least from what I'm seeing. Do you feel like that's an accurate representation of how the internet is interpreting this battle? Yeah.
I mean,
and who's won?
There's the Drake dudes out there.
Okay.
Like, you know, like I think Drake represents a lot of guys. I'll put it that way.
A lot of guys and Blake Finucane.
Yeah.
Blake.
and the Canadians.
You know, the Canadians, we love you. I feel like a lot of people see themselves in Drake. And I think part of that's also kind of like Kendrick is attacking of like, you know, he identifies some people who are not of quote unquote the culture per se. They identify with Drake a lot.
Okay.
And then also I think some people are like, oh my God, Kendrick is too heady. I don't want to get a thesaurus to understand these lyrics. And those people are still like, oh, I side with Drake because he's a little easier to digest. So I think there's people on both sides. The very lyrical, like people who love like dense lyrics, things like that, are really loving Kendrick. But I think both of us we're both getting fed. They both are like doing their jobs.
So you don't think that the internet has sided primarily with Kendrick? You think that I'm just maybe seeing a biased internet?
I mean, I think there's like a strong lean towards Kendrick, but like at the same time, I think there's like a certain types of demographics that are like think that things that Kendrick are talking about is going over their heads, and like because of that, they're pro Drake because they don't fully understand some of the nuance that Kendrick is saying, or just like
drag him, Melanie. This is a diss track now.
Yeah, I mean, like not just in like I'm saying, I love them both. You know what I mean? I'm a fan of both, and also at the same time, I love the fact that Kendrick like kind of made a bop. He made a very West Coast bop, and like with the catchy hook. I think that's something that you don't always associate with Kendrick. And I think this was that with Drake, and the fact that when Drake did his most recent rebuttal, he didn't like try to like do a pop hit. He was like, hey, I'm refuting these claims. Like, I did not do these things you're referring to. And I think some people that gives Drake respect because he's like, hey, playtime's over. So, yeah.
Okay. I want to understand some of the allegations.
Oh, no. Allegedly.
Allegedly. This is not fact. Might be just fiction. So what I have heard, some scathing on either side allegations. One is that Drake has another child, right? A daughter.
Hiding a shot from the roll. Like, I mean, like Pusha T did it. Yeah. Now, like, you know, it's like, okay, I said it. Yeah.
So that's one allegation. And then the Kendrick allegations are that he's abusive to his wife.
That, and also allegedly one of his kids was like, he's not the father of one of his kids. Like Dave Free.
Oh,
I hate bringing the kids into it. I gotta say, I saw the Instagram that was. I probably shouldn't have even clicked on it, but I saw the Instagram that was passed around. That was Drake's alleged daughter, and I'm like, she's so cute, and
Totally.
she's just like a 10-year-old girl.
Right.
Leave her out of this
Because
poor girl out
apparently
of it.
that's not true. So, like in the most recent response by Drake last night, he was like,
Okay.
"Oh yeah, I fed lies to you." Like, so you thought you had
Oh.
people, you had an inside mole in my camp. Guess what? I fed you lies. And some people were like, okay, like, oh my God, Drake is genius for doing that. And Drake's like, you didn't fact check correctly. You're just trying to like do a
Mm,
response so fast. So that's the same. It's like, it's one of those things, it's like a lot of layers to it. You can be the fact that, oh wow, like Drake is playing chess. I'm just
yeah.
gonna feed you things and make you like a fool. And then someone else is like, well, why are you feeding him lies? What about the other things? I don't think he fully refuted that. So
Mm.
apparently the kid
Wow.
may be a real kid, but it's not his kid. It might have just been like,
It's AI
yeah,
generated.
yeah, I don't know. So
I
yeah.
feel like he has some credibility though, because when his other child was revealed, he owned up to it. So I sort of believe him in this case because I'm like, he owned up to it the first time. So why wouldn't he own up to it this time? Okay.
Yeah.
The other question I have for you is this is all a PR stunt, right? That's the whole reason? Question
I
mark?
don't think that's the case. I mean, I
Okay.
think it's like I think the timing's good. I mean, Drake does have a not Drake, Kendrick does have an album coming out. So like
Mm-hmm.
this is
Okay.
bringing a lot of attention to him. And to go on the music industry side, he's known for being on TDE, which gives us artists like SZA and like Doechii and others. And now he's no longer part of TDE, and he has a deal directly with Interscope, which is like one of the major labels. So when his first diss track came out for Kendrick, it was telling the world that like, hey, I'm no longer with TDE. It's still love with TDE. So this is also kind of building reputation for him outside the TDE bubble and like showing that he's can have a direct deal and create these still numbers. Like we'll see next week where this deals with like in the charts. But yeah, I mean, like all press is press. I don't really see Kendrick as the type who's like, I have an album coming soon. I'm going to do
Yeah.
this. Like someone else, perhaps, but I don't really consider Kendrick that type. Yeah.
But it is an attention game that we're all playing on the internet. We're all anyone who's posting is playing an attention game. They have both played it expertly. And I'm curious your perspective, like as a professional in the space, like what have you seen in the rollout or in the conversation around it? Like, why do you think it's reached this fever pitch? Is it just because of the players involved? Is there something inherent to how they release these tracks? I'm curious your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think like Drake is one of the only rappers that's mentioned the same level as like a Taylor Swift.
Right.
Taylor announces at the Grammys that she's dropping an album. Everyone was like, okay, well, I'm not releasing my album. After that, like Taylor's a force. Drake is in a similar manner when it comes
Yeah.
to like pop music. No one's remotely close to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think because of that, a lot of new people look up to Drake, but at the same time, people who are still considered his peers, there's some type of animosity there. And some people are
Yeah.
like, well, is it because of his character? Or is it just because he's the most mainstream pop rapper that's exists, at least in my generation? And I think it really changed the dynamic of past beefs or other animosity between rappers when everyone is like, wants to throw a rock at the guy who almost untouchable what like his success has been. And I think that adds a really different dynamic, especially when someone like Kendrick Lamar or J. Cole are like the initial people and like Rick Ross, but like really don't care about trying to be everywhere. They disappear and come back. We know they're technically good, but they really do not define themselves by the same metrics as Drake, and realize like we still consider them neck and neck, and realizing that, you know, what does it mean in hip hop of all genres to duke it out, and you're not, and the fact that because it was during the weekend, we're looking at iTunes charts and Apple Music charts and YouTube charts, but it's not based off that alone. That really
Mm.
changes the dynamic when so many things are based off of it's popping on TikTok or it's doing this on
Yeah.
iTunes. It went this on Billboard. When we get the news of the Billboard charts, it's not going to be defined based off of that. Like,
Mm.
Euphoria is going to be the song because like, it was a mollywop, right? To the ego. Like, that's why we care. We don't care about it debuting at number one. It's like about what he said and like how he really, really
Yeah.
went there.
So interesting. Okay, so I want to talk about in our final minutes here what the internet's response has been. As Deana said, a lot of my experience of it has been through memes, through like I've not listened to any of the songs, like I don't have that context, but the context I do have is some of the discourse around it and primarily like jokes and people poking fun on either side. I'm curious what you've seen. You're in this industry, so it seems like you're seeing a lot of the more thoughtful, smart takes on what this means for hip hop and what it means for the fans and the kind of culture around it. But I'm curious, what has your experience of it online been? And how people are using this content as sort of like fodder for their own memes and posting and things like that.
Yeah, I think it's like the meme conversation and then like the live music conversation. I'm based in New York, as you know, obviously. And like Stony Blue like played like one of the Kendrick responses, like the club one, right after it came out. And like that was like a
Hmm.
viral moment online. And it was like, oh, I go to Cafe Zuli all the time. But like that was a statement. Or there was DJ Mustard played it out. Like that's kind of an internet culture thing about like this isn't just like on your timeline, like in real life, how are people responding? Is this like, is this song of the summer going to
Interesting.
be a diss track? And then also, I love when people like dub music on top of like video memes of people dancing. So that's a thing too. Kind of the idea that we're kind of like dancing on your grave type of vibe of this is a dance, a diss track. And we're like, oh my God, this meme like shows like how playful it is. And then like just also just kind of gets to like the conversations about identity, like identity as like a biracial person and people kind of like poking fun of that and like saying like, you
Mm.
know, we need to stop giving invites to the cookout and like all those type of memes, which is very much of like Black Twitter type of discourse, which I feel like we haven't had that same type of unity of like Black Twitter,
A
like,
unifying
okay,
moment.
we're going in
Totally.
and like, you know, so it's been really, really fun. Like it's definitely like been some of the best Twitter days, meme days I've seen in a bit, like by far. People those
Nice.
jokes off for sure. Yeah.
I
That's
love that.
amazing.
Okay, so where do we go from here? Like, what happens next? So Drake responded yesterday. Do we expect more diss tracks to drop?
I'm
What do you think is gonna happen?
like literally like because Drake didn't drop it at like midnight. The rest of the time, I'm like, okay, is Kendrick coming back in? He's loading up, you know, like his lyrical bullets. Like he might come back. Drake kind of was bowing out, so it might be done. I'm really interested to get a little industry, but not too much. They're both under the umbrella of the same major label. Therefore, the people who are in charge of like UMG, that they're all winning with both districts. I'm curious if this is going to be a new trend. Earlier this
Mm.
year, we had like, you know, Megan Thee Stallion and Nicki Minaj. I'm curious, is the new trend going to be like people getting dirt on like different rappers and then like next out of no, you're gonna hear little Uzi Vert going against someone. You're like, oh no, we're in the club dancing to like a diss track. Like, is this like, is like the summer of like 12 diss tracks? Like meme, you know what I mean? Like it's the best memes win. Like, oh, you know, that song was like, I don't know, like Future gets in the race and like he does the best memes. Like, I think it might be chaos in a really fun way. So more diss tracks, maybe, but I'm excited to see like if this is gonna become like the new
Format.
TikTok video, like meme culture really dominating the conversation and like people like that
Wow.
stuff.
Very interesting. Well, Mel, thank you so much for coming on. We truly could not have done it without you. We're so glad. We're so glad you were able to make the time. Thank you for coming on Two Online.
Thank
What
you
a
so
week.
much.
What a week
I'm
for
exhausted.
this.
Like, you know, like I'm the like Popeyes like tired lady. Like I'm exhausted. Like, you know, like
That's so good.
Amazing. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.